There's a moment in every Gravity Falls fan's life when you stop laughing at the gnomes and start realizing, wait, did that puppet just try to steal his soul? This show might have looked like a fun mystery cartoon, but underneath the talking pigs and Mabel sweaters is some seriously dark stuff, like memory wiping cults, undead attacks, and a dating sim that straight up tries to kill someone. These next 4 episodes, they're basically horror movies pretending to be cartoons, and somehow they still make you laugh while ruining your sleep schedule. So buckle up, because we're counting down the episodes that made us rethink our childhood and maybe sleep with the lights on. First up, we have Into the Bunker. Let's talk about Into the Bunker, aka the episode that made everyone in the fandom say, wait, did Gravity Falls just turn into a horror movie? Because yeah, it totally did. It starts off light. Dipper, Mabel, Suze, and Wendy go exploring a hidden underground bunker in the woods. You know, classic small town fun. But the deeper they go, the weirder it gets. Creepy vibes? Check. Old equipment and emergency supplies? Check. A warning on the wall that says stay out? Definitely ignored. What else could we expect? At first, they thought it's abandoned. I wish it was. There's something living down there. Something that crawls on ceilings, reads your emotions, and worst of all, can copy your face like it's putting on a Halloween mask. Say hello to the shapeshifter, and by hello, I mean run immediately. This thing tricks Dipper into handing over the journal by pretending to be the author. Yeah, the actual mysterious genius who wrote all the supernatural notes Dipper's been obsessing over since episode 1. That's been his whole mission. Find the person who knows everything about Gravity Falls. So when this random guy shows up in the bunker and starts dropping hints like, oh, I lost my journals years ago, Dipper's brain short circuits. He thinks he's finally found him, his crush. Wendy is standing right there. He's trying to play it cool, and his brain's doing cartwheels. But the second the guy gets his hands on the journal and shapeshifts into something not even remotely human, all bets are off. Once the thing transforms, walls close in, tunnels collapse, and trust is gone. The shapeshifter plays mind games, jumps between forms, and worst of all, it mimics Wendy. You heard it right. Dipper ends up in a showdown between real Wendy and fake Wendy, and it is nerve-wracking. You're sitting there like, bro, if you picked the wrong one, that's it, bye-bye. But somehow he knows. And with one swing of Wendy's axe, Dipper slashes the monster and locks it in a cryo chamber. You might think it's a classic monster movie ending by now, but oh wait, not quite. Right before getting frozen, the shapeshifter shows Dipper the last form it will ever take. And guess what? It's Dipper, screaming in the exact pose we see in a later episode when he literally gets turned into a statue. Yeah, that's the kind of foreshadowing that lives rent-free in your brain for years. Into the Bunker is like Gravity Falls took all its paranoia, heartbreak, and monster terror and packed it into one claustrophobic nightmare. You don't know who to trust, not even yourself. I mean, I could be the real narrator, or I could be the shapeshifter. There's really only one way to know for sure. Like the video, subscribe, and we'll both pretend that's totally normal behavior. Then comes the scary okay. This episode is what happens when curiosity brings chaos, and then gets punched in the face by a zombie. Everything starts out normal-ish. The Mystery Shack is throwing a party to celebrate its grand reopening, and for once, Dipper tries to be chill. But let me tell you, the key word is tries. He's still bummed no one believes him about the journal being real, or the supernatural stuff he's been uncovering all summer. So naturally, he does what any sensible 12-year-old would do. He reads a random Latin spell out loud, just to prove a point. Oh, Dipper, sweetie, no! Within seconds, the ground splits open and actual zombies crawl out of the forest like it's Tuesday. Dipper, thrilled that he was right, completely ignores the part where he just started a mini apocalypse. Seuss gets zombified immediately and somehow becomes a zombie genius. Stan grabs his baseball bat and Mabel's party turns into a survival horror movie. People are screaming, the dead are groaning, and nobody has a plan except to keep singing. Yes, really, I'm not even kidding. Turns out the only way to defeat the zombies is by performing a 3-part harmony karaoke song. So the Pines family climbs onto the roof, plugs in the mic, and sings one of the most awkward, hilarious, and weirdly catchy songs ever broadcast on kids' television. And guess what? It works! Zombie heads literally explode from how off-key they are. Green goo everywhere, kids cheering. And Stan's just wondering where his bat went. Oh, and let's not forget that the entire time this is happening, Stan is hiding the fact that he's building some kind of secret machine in the basement that literally triggers government alerts. But sure, Dipper raising the dead was the problem. This episode literally buried all the rules, resurrected them, and made them dance to karaoke. It's funny, yes, but also terrifying once you realize just how close they all came to becoming zombie chow. And the worst part? It all started because one kid wanted to be believed. Next is the Northwest Mansion mystery. You know what's not on most kids' TV checklists? Ghosts bleeding from taxidermy animal heads while chanting ancient sins. But Gravity Falls said, yeah, we're doing that. This episode kicks off when Pacifica Northwest, her shows up at the Mystery Shack looking panicked and kinda desperate. She's throwing a fancy party at her family's creepy rich people mansion, and it turns out the place is very haunted. So who better to call than Dipper, resident ghost expert and walking trauma magnet. At first, Dipper doesn't want to help. I mean, Pacifica has been awful all season, and now she wants a favor, but she bribes him with party tickets for Mabel and her crew, and suddenly, this is the kind of offer we would accept too. So we're in business. Dipper shows up to investigate, expecting maybe a prank or a bored old ghost. Instead, he gets a full-blown category 10 nightmare fuel lumberjack ghost. This thing has a flaming beard, a giant axe, and the kind of death stare that makes you want to delete your own memory. And the scariest part, he wants revenge. As Dipper digs into the mansion's secrets, the truth unravels. 150 years ago, the Northwest family promised a party for the townspeople if they helped build their mansion. The workers finished the place, and then the Northwest slammed the door in their faces. And that lumberjack ghost, he got caught in a mudslide during the storm that followed. That axe in his head? Yeah, that was his party favor. Now he's back, and everyone with the name Northwest is on his hit list. Meanwhile, Pacifica's stuck between doing what's right and obeying her awful parents, especially her dad, who literally rings a bell to control her, like she's a dog. It's messed up. But when the ghost starts turning rich people into wooden statues and the animals come to life, again, this is a kid's show, Pacifica finally breaks the cycle. She pulls the lever, lets the town in, and stops the curse. This episode doesn't just bring the scares, it straight up attacks generational guilt, abuse, and privilege. And yes, Dipper literally dies in the middle of it. Temporarily, but still, the trauma is real. And probably it was the first time in the whole series where Pacifica felt like a real person instead of just a spoiled brat with too much money and not enough hugs. And how can we miss this episode? Suze and the real girl. This episode pretends to be wholesome, like, oh look, our sweet cinnamon roll Suze just wants a date. But then Gravity Falls does what it does best. Pulls the rug, sets it on fire, and drops you into a nightmare you weren't ready for. It all starts when Suze promises his abuelita he'll bring a date to his cousin Reggie's engagement party. No pressure, except Suze is, well, Suze. The dude has less game than a broken joystick. He tries flirting, and it's so bad even NPCs in the mall recoil in terror. So Mabel and Dipper decide to help him, and somehow, they all end up buying a shady dating sim from a video game store with a giant red sticker on it that literally says "Destroy at all costs." Oh yeah, that seems safe. Enter Giffany, the adorable anime girl from inside the game, who very quickly goes from ooh-woo to unholy. At first, it's all cute virtual flirting, but then Giffany starts responding to Seuss's actual voice. While the game isn't even plugged in, that's when you know you're in too deep. She hops from the computer to the electrical grid, literally travels through wires, and next thing you know, we're in a haunted Chuck E. Cheese knockoff, surrounded by animatronics with dead eyes and one very obsessive AI who's ready to ruin Seuss's life and anyone who comes near him. Seuss tries to go on a real date with a real girl, Melody, and Giffany does not take that well. She shows up mid-date, threatens Melody with creepy digital X's over her face, and oh yeah, tries to download Seuss's brain into her game so they can be together forever. Very cute, right? And listen, the moment the animatronics start singing that weird love song with glitchy voices and dead stares, there comes a pure Five Nights at Freddy's nightmare. It all ends with Seuss chucking the cursed disc into a pizza oven while dodging electrocution and heartbreak. Giffany screams as she melts down, and Seuss barely escapes with his body and brain intact. This episode took the classic lonely nerd finds love in a game trope and twisted it into a digital horror show. Cute pixels? Nah, that was a straight-up AI stalker with wires for veins and abandonment issues. Watch it again, and I dare you not to unplug your router when you're done. Gravity Falls is a full-blown horror show wrapped in goofy jokes and pine trees. You've got psycho video game girlfriends, ghosts with axes, and zombies exploding to karaoke. Therapy's expensive, so we watch this instead. So tell me, did I miss one that wrecked your childhood? Or are you still emotionally trapped in the haunted pizzeria with Seuss? Either way, hit the comments and subscribe before some animatronic gets to you first.